Good evening, everybody. Welcome again to my roof deck. I wanted to do a little video today talking about something that I have been thinking about a lot lately, and something that is related to my dissertation but also related to the political environment that we find ourselves in. So I wanted to start by talking a little bit about my favorite sport. I know if you've watched some of my videos, you've seen me wearing some Bears gear. Football is my favorite sport. Love the Chicago Bears. I played football in middle school and high school. Really enjoyed my time playing it, and just can't get enough of it. Watch it on TV whenever it's on. And the thing that I love the most about football is running the ball. I love it when teams run the ball. I love watching a team line up and just exert their will and just push another team around. One of my favorite things about watching the Bears this year was how good they were at running the football. It's my favorite part of the game. I've always enjoyed watching running teams. I know that a lot of people don't consider them as exciting as the passing team, but I just really enjoy watching the teams that run the ball. And the thing about running the ball in football is that it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. And a lot of times you are giving a lot of effort and not really getting that much of a reward out of it. If you watch football teams, if you watch NFL teams that run the ball a lot of times when they're on offense and they're trying to score, it can take them 10, 12, 15 plays to score a touchdown. It can take a really long time. They put in a lot of work in order to score a touchdown. And that's even if they score a touchdown at all. A lot of times they get stopped or they have to settle for a field goal. They don't quite get what they want. But despite those challenges, teams that run the ball, that dedicate themselves to running the ball, they line up and they do it again and again and again and again. And if you watch football, you know that a team that's really good at running the ball, by the end of the game, what happens a lot of times is that they just look unstoppable. The defense can't do anything to slow them down. The offense is just able to do whatever they want. They're able to run any play they want. They're all successful. And what used to take 15 plays to score a touchdown, maybe they're getting there in 10 or less than that, or 9, or they break off a big run for 20 or 30 yards, where at the beginning of the game those runs were going for 4, maybe 5, maybe 6. So what does this have to do with action research or education research or my dissertation? Well, in action research, when you study how change happens in systems, what you find out is that change happens in a way that is very similar to running the ball. You are often putting in a lot of effort for a small amount of progress. You're often doing a lot and not getting much out of it, especially at first. Denny Carter, who writes about football and politics, he has this really great article titled "We Must Establish the Run to Defeat Authoritarianism," really makes a great case that having this mentality of running the ball, doing this lot of work over and over again, is what is necessary in order to make the world a better place. In this article, which I'm going to link in this video, what Denny Carter talks about is that in order to defeat authoritarianism, in order to bring about a more just and fair world, what we have to do is we have to run the ball as a society. That means we have to do the little things that might not seem like they make too big of a difference right now, but we must do them. We must do them over and over again, and we must build up momentum towards our larger goals. And the thing is that there is evidence in the research that this is one of the better ways to affect change. And what I'm going to refer to here is an idea called experiential learning theory. Now, experiential learning theory is exactly what it sounds like it is. It is a theory of learning, of how we learn as people, that describes how we learn from our experiences, what that process looks like. A lot of people, when they think about learning, they think about it almost in this linear progression, in this linear path, where you start off not knowing something and you end up knowing something. it's almost like a point A to point B. Like you go from point A to point B, to point C to D, and so on and so forth. It's just, you're moving in a straight line. You either know something or you don't. They look at it as this very binary thing. However, experiential learning theory looks at learning in a completely different way. What experiential learning theory does is it moves away from that linear path, that point A to point B path, and instead visualizes learning as a cycle. You're learning in almost this circular pattern over and over and over and over again. And in broad strokes, how experiential learning theory works is that you have some kind of experience. You experience something in your life. For the purpose of this video, think of it like a football play. You line up and you've run a play. After you've run that play, you have some time where you reflect and you looked at the results of that play. What happened? What went well? What didn't go well? What did you achieve? What did you not achieve? For the purposes of the video, let's pretend it's a 4-yard gain. So you reflect on that 4-yard gain and you're like, well, that's okay, but I really wanted more. We really wanted to get 10 yards on this play. So through experiential learning theory, you have your experience, which is you have the results of the play, you reflect on the experience, then you start thinking about what could you do differently with that play? How could you improve what the outcome of that play was? And so that's where you start thinking, and that's where you're starting to come up with some plan of what you're going to do differently the next time. Finally, you put that plan into action. You line up, you run a new play. Then you start the process over again. That play that you ran becomes your experience, which then you reflect on the outcome, plan for the next play, put that plan into action, and then you start the process all over again. And here, this is where you can start to see the metaphor of running the ball leading to change really starting to make sense. Because in experiential learning theory, every single time that you attempt an action, every single time that you try to do something, it's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to adjust, it's an opportunity to plan and improve your process. When you think of learning or you think of change in this linear A to B process, I think it becomes really easy to get discouraged because you say like, well, I was trying to get from A to B, but I didn't get to B. And then what? You don't really have anywhere to go. You're just going to try to get to B again. But you really haven't learned anything. You haven't done anything differently. And that can be a very frustrating thing. That's why I think it's important to look at actions and learning as taking place in these cycles, because a cycle never ends. It goes on forever. There's always room for improvement. There's always things you can do differently. You go through your learning cycle and things didn't turn out the way you would hope. That stinks, but you just started a new cycle. So there's always that reason to hope and that reason to keep engaging with the process. So there's a lot that I feel like I could say on this topic, but I want to end this here just so that this video doesn't go too long. Again, I would recommend that you read that article by Denny Carter. I think it's an amazing article. He did a really great job on that. And I would encourage you that if you're trying to make change within your organization, within your community, no matter how small or how large, really start to adopt this run the ball mentality. Do those little things that maybe they're hard work now, maybe they don't add up to a lot of progress in this moment, but do things that are going to allow you to build momentum, that are going to allow you to make progress and allow you to make improvements. Don't get discouraged by the A to B thinking. Really look at this potential of change as this never-ending cycle. So even if you have a play that gets stuffed at the line of scrimmage, there's no reason that you can't line up and try again. So yeah, if sounds like something you're interested in, please give this video a like, leave a comment, and don't forget that it's always a good day to run the dang ball.